Hey guys, and welcome to Relationship Chronicles. Today we have a cheating revenge story from one of my subscribers that I will walk you through with, and afterwards I'll give my opinion and advice to this subscriber on how to deal with this situation. Here we go. In today's video, how I handle it. I found out my wife of 20 years found herself a younger boy, a 20-something coworker. It's funny, they think we're not going to feel something different going on. I sensed it right away. People who don't tells me they were pretty disconnected from the relationship in the first place. Unlike many people I've read about, I did not ignore my gut. I try to never ignore instincts in any situation, especially when dealing with people got the feeling something was off. Snooped her phone and there it was spied for a few days, and sure enough, they planned a hotel meetup on a Saturday. As I expected, she came up with a story why she had to go out to some boring work thing that Saturday. So I said, sure, no problem. I made sure my iPad was charged, and that Saturday before she left, I tucked it in the back pocket of the passenger seat in her car. Sent the kids to my sister saying I had errands to run, then watch where the iPad was going first to a restaurant, not one of our usual spots. Then, like a cheap cliche, it was to a motel. It was only 20 minutes away, so I headed out. It didn't take long to start the motel to figure out where they were. What I couldn't believe is that it was one of those disgusting cheap motels that will rent by the hour. A hookers and junkies motel. The kind of place she turns her nose up to. Anyway, I knocked on about a half dozen doors and found there's a man asked what I needed from behind the door. I said I need to speak to my wife. He said she's not there. I said, fine, I'll wait here in front of his store for a week if I have to. After a couple minutes, she comes out. She looked like she was in total shock. I just asked her, are you happy? Is this what you want? Fine. You're an adult. Have fun. I left. She was calling after me, but I ignored her. I was crushed and knew I was going to cry, but no way I was going to let her see that. She left there immediately and went to her sister's. I was still watching where my iPad was going. Later, she called and told me we got married so young, and she was confused what she wanted. I said, you don't have to be confused. Do what you want. The marriage vows are broken, so I'm going to do what I want. I know this isn't recommended, but it worked for me. I ghosted her in our own house. I was always polite and cordial, but not loving in any way. I created a Tinder profile and started dating. This crushed my wife. She had several emotional breakdowns with uncontrollable sobbing fits. She begged me to stop and let's go to marriage counseling. I said I liked her idea better and that I was enjoying myself. I wasn't hiding in the shadows like her. I was doing my business in the light of day. I was doing great on Tinder. I keep myself in shape and educated, make a great living, honest, unkind. I had no problem getting dates with very nice and attractive women. I told them exactly what was going on in my life because I didn't want to be dishonest. Of course, boy dumped her because his wife found out and she and he were trying to work it out. I told my wife to hit Tinder up and find herself a new guy. This would send her into crying fits. I never cried in front of her and I never begged her. Of course, what she did hurt me horribly. So I sedated those emotions by moving on. I ended up dating and being intimate with several beautiful women younger than my wife. This was destroying her. That confusion of hers was long gone. She wanted us. I did too. So I stopped dating and we went to marriage counseling. We're long recovered. Now. This was several years ago. We don't dwell on the past. We talk about it openly. She asked me once if any of my girlfriends were better than her in bed. And I replied, oh, yeah, one of them was amazing. I then explained how she was amazing. And now my wife works those things into our repertoire. I think the thing that snapped her out of it so quickly and had her begging me was how easily I can move on. She knows that I have no problem ghosting her and can be dating someone else a couple days later, say what you want, but it worked for me. People have asked if I have mind movies or feel inferior to the other man. I say of course not. He's the kind of creep that has hookups and cheap motels with aging married women with self-esteem issues. Is that all he can score? No, I never feel inferior to a dude like that. If this happens to you, maybe give this a try. And unconventional approach maybe, but it worked for us. I think the thing that snapped her out of it so quickly and had her begging me was how easily I can move on. The ability to move on is critically important. It's often the only card the best has in their possession that they can win with the affair will continue for as long as the wayward spouse wants it to, and they're in complete control until the betrayed spouse can move on. Then everything changes. It's not unconventional and knowing what to do, but it's unconventional in that fear drives betrayed spouses to not act, delay acting, or deny what's actually happening. People are afraid of losing their spouses toward being alone. Unfortunately for them, Wayward sees the BS as doubt and desperation and leverages this debilitation against them in sinister and cruel fashion. Session, the Bees is hanging on for a future that appears to be changing before their eyes, while the WS is planning for a future without them or engaged in activities that unknowingly will change the future of many. It's hard to see and read of the pitiful posture BSSR reduced to. Same thing happened to me, by the way. I was less direct about it, as I was engaged to be married, and we lived separate. But once the affair was confirmed, it confirmed for me I was moving on. Mind you, I loved my fiancée unbelievably so, but I wasn't going to allow her to destroy my life, so I took control immediately. First, I ghosted and detached, then I recovered my confidence and normalcy, followed by the dating fiancé, tried to reconcile for 18 months, but unfortunately for her, I found someone who I'm now married to. I didn't seek her. She just fell into my lap. Had my fiancé not cheated, I'd be with her. Her loss, such as life, I suspected she was cheating on me and just paid attention for a while. Once I was sure, I told her I knew that she was cheating, gave her my wedding ring back, and told her the marriage was over. I saw my lawyer and filed for divorce. I started doing whatever I wanted and told her she was free to leave whenever she was ready. I just considered her a roommate. And if she brought up staying together, I just said no, nothing to discuss. It's over. It drove her nuts when she realized there were a lot of women willing to take her place. The boyfriend dropped her like a hot potato. When he found out, I had told her to leave. He didn't want her full-time low. After a few months, she moved to her sister's. I sold the house and we went our separate ways. Self-respect and indifference can be your best friend at times. Many things. I still love her. She just fucked up. I'm not a black and white personality. I know the world is imperfect, and I understand her wondering about relationships with other people. I know she's aging and was taking that hard. I'm sure it made her feel great that a younger man desired her. I know it made me feel great when younger women desired me. It's an ego boost. I get it. I also saw real remorse on her part, and she really humbled herself in asking for my forgiveness. It was a very private and intimate moment when we had a heart-to-heart. She explained her woes and asked for my forgiveness while telling me she doesn't deserve it and will respect my decision. To be honest, there was also some sunk cost fallacy. We have invested a lot in our lives together and family. Her having a fling wasn't a good enough reason to blow that up, considering she scratched the itch and now knows that the grass is not greener out there. This is so good. It's hard to explain unless you're in this situation. 3 kids, wife that hasn't worked since our first was born in divorce. I lose my family holidays, memories cut in half, etc., and not to mention the financial hit. I have done well. And the thought of some loser with my kids living in the house. I bought driving my cars all on his bartender earnings. Instead, I did what you did, but it took a few months. Once I did, everything improved and the tide shifted. I wish I would have done that day one, but I was so worried about my daughters, my family being torn apart. Once I stabilized, this approach was the best approach. Also, I think that once her fleeing ditched her, she really see the colossal fuck up she had committed. You're a better man than I when I found out my first wife was fucking around on me. I divorced her as soon as I could and walked away. Let's move on to my thoughts and advice for the person that is dealing with this problem. It sounds like you went through a difficult and challenging experience in your marriage, discovering that your wife was having an affair with a younger co-worker. You took a proactive approach to the situation by following your instincts and gathering evidence to confront her about it. Eventually, you decided to take control of the situation and prioritize your own well-being and happiness. While everyone's circumstances and reactions to infidelity are different, It seems that your decision to focus on your own life and happiness, including dating other people, helped you regain your confidence and ultimately led to reconciliation with your wife through marriage counseling. Your ability to move on and show indifference to the situation may have played a significant role in her realizing the consequences of her actions and seeking reconciliation. It's important to note that infidelity can be a complex and emotionally charged issue, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution for dealing with it. Your approach may have worked for you, but it may not work for everyone, and different couples have different ways of handling such situations. Ultimately, the key takeaway from your story is the importance of communication, self-respect, and prioritizing your own well-being. It's clear that you and your wife were able to address the issues in your relationship, move past the infidelity, and rebuild your marriage. This can serve as a valuable lesson for others facing similar challenges in their relationships. I wish you the best of luck moving forward. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. Take care.